The Song Maple, Chapter 7.3. Up the bench and bald they hurried, the way too narrow, her manner too barbed for them to trot side by side. They threaded the summit, keeping spruce pines and dipped down into pungent sassafras, into buckeyes and elms fast losing leaf, and oaks still stubbornly scarlet. They lanced through the chokecherries and the jack vines and wormed through the interlaced aspens. In a few hours they swung down to the brawly run where he'd bathed so rashly. She leapt sure-footedly over its crossing boulders, and he followed her cat-like form. They sped down the farther bank and up through the knee-deep, crunchy leaves to the Swisher cabin. "Who's there?" Devil Tom's challenge leapt from the chinked logs. "It's Travis, grandfather. I've brought the boy you sent me for, though I wanted toddock nor tattle of him." "Come in here." Lee followed her into the dwelling. Devil Tom lay on the disordered bed, a jug on the floor beside him. His beard had grown in patches where the steam had left skin to hold it. The rest of his face was a fearful thing, screwed from agony. He didn't turn his head, but lay with red lids directed at the ceiling. Lee, with a quick start, made out why. The old one had been blinded. The walls were bare. All dulcimers were gone, sold at the fair. "Strike up! Don't stand there!" roared Devil Tom. The boy hesitated. "Sing, damn you! Whoop the strings!" The old man was in torture. He wanted something for his mind to clinch to. Lee unslung the instrument, though his heart wasn't in the doing, and played Cornwallis Surrender. "The dulcimer's frog-voiced," gritted Devil Tom. "Why did you bring that sourish tune pot? You who toted off a fine one, made by my own hands." "Uncle Tom, it's—" He didn't want to say he had fallen in the creek branch with it. He hoped Travis hadn't mentioned him in the creek branch, first plunge nor second. Besides, Link Yawkey had found no flaw in the instrument. "Link Yawkey says—" "You mean to tell me it's one of Link Yawkey's sob-stringed vinegar cruets fotch here to plague me with?" "It's the one I took down from the wall of this cabin." "Let me feel it." Tom pressed his fingers over pegs and belly, the 4 sound holes, the back hewn from the proud song maple. "Yes, it's mine. You ain't been trinking it enough. Dulcimers, like shoes and saddles, need a lavish of breaking in. Play on, it eases my troublement." The boy stroked the 6 taut strings and sang "Come with me to the husking bee," and "The smoke is lazing up the chimbley," and "Bonnie Barbary Allen." Tom hearkened glumly. Travis lit a candle. She moved soundlessly on her bare soles, made up a fire, and placed a couple of pots on it. Bubbly aroma of shuck beans, fat back, gritted bread, and gravy mingled with the hickory smoke incense. She knelt and stirred. She brought plates to the bedside, put one on a spare stool for Lee McLeese, fed Blind Tom from the other. The meal over, Lee went on with his caroling. The night grew chilly. Travis toted in knots of oak and fed them to the blaze. The chunks flared yellow, reddened to embers, and fell apart in white ash. Devil Tom guzzled from the jug. He raved, swore, called the boy a woods colt and his instrument a thump leg, and yelled for more musics and more liquor. He seemed to be waiting for something thus far unspoken by the plaintive strings. "Sing on!" screamed Devil Tom as the pangs racked him. The boy's hand was tired. His throat was sore. He had rendered the Battle of King's Mountain, and Uncle Ware in his settin' chair, and many others. "I can do them over for you, but I have no fresh ones." "You mean such old stuff is all that's in you? You've been away a month and invented naught that's new." "I tried to. I couldn't find it." Devil Tom's arms shot out. He grabbed the instrument from the boy's lap, raised a knee under the bedclothes, and brought the thing of wood and strings down with a slam that broke its back. He hurled the jangle of splinters into a corner. The girl gave a laugh. She nipped it. The boy sat stunned. Seconds passed. Lee finally measured the ruin of his dreams. "I'll be on my way now," he said dully. Spoke the girl from across the room. "It's black in the woods. You'll trip." "I don't mind a few falls." "There's wrong turnings. You'll be better off with daylight." "I can't sit the night out in this house." I've only made Uncle Tom angry. But he didn't have to break my dulcimer. It wasn't to blame. I'm the one who ran dry. I've known since the step rock turned under. The gift has gone out of me. I'll go home now and rive shingles for a living." He got up. She stood by the chimney searching his face. For a moment they confronted each other, the enmity smoldering between them. She shrugged and turned away. Lee moved for the door. Devil Tom's face contorted, his hands clenched, open, stiff and straight, his forehead beaded. "It's the pain coming back on him," observed the girl. Tom's body arched. He writhed. He yelled. "It's the hellfires," gasped the girl, her eyes brimming. "They retch out for him. They lick and tease and stab unless he's soothed." Tom's hands found the jug, lifted it, spilled it. "You've got to play for him again," she whispered hoarsely. "You've got to. Got to." "But I have no strings to strike. You saw what happened." She whirled and ran to the ladder on the wall. She climbed like a squirrel, her pliant figure twisted through the hole to the loft. She came down with something in one hand. She passed this to Lee. "But—" He stood stupefied. It was the gourd dulcimer he had thrown away. She went to the hearth and knelt, prodding up the coals. He turned the absurd thing over, astonished that it existed, dumbfounded that it was in his hands, perplexed because it felt oddly smooth. The girl knelt on, nursing the tiny blaze with bark and slivers. Devil Tom breathed hard. He arched again. He howled. Lee, baffled, touched the strings. They were in tune. Blind Tom's mustache quivered. Cupped hand went to ear. "What's that?" The boy stammered. It's a dulcimer. At least it's a thing with strings." Tom's lips grew tight with torture. "Play it, damn you! Sing!" As he touched the 3 strands, a sort of assurance came back to Lee McLeese. On this poor device he had mastered half his ballads. This gourd, since he had pitched it away, had bettered itself. Its back gave almost the sheen of hardwood to the hearth of blaze now leaping. This gourd had been rubbed and rubbed with butternut oil or birch oil or tallow by untiring human palm. Tingling to this miracle, Lee returned to his stool. His stroke on the 3 strings grew lustier. Murmured Devil Tom, "It's a right brisk box. Where did it come from? Don't tell me Link Yawkey made it." "I made it," declared the boy. "Then you learned more from me this summer than I had eyes for noticing. Anyways, play on. It eases the pain better than corn liquor even." The boy went on repeating his ballads, the zest and whip and freshness of them unaccountably restored. "Napoleon marched on Sourwood Mountain," "Kate Dean's Lover," and "I Walked by Your Window." Night stars wheeled far across the sky. The girl threw fresh logs on the fire. She stretched the cramp from her nimble body, lifted and let tumble her hair, and dropped back to the hearthside stool. For the first time the boy noticed that her hair, yellow as a piggin of new churned butter, was bound back from her forehead by a bit of ribbon. He became aware of the eager young lines, the rising woman from under the soft gown and the capering firelight. He rendered, if every day was morning, all 27 acknowledged verses, and the 28th, which was his own. Boldly, with soreness in his throat no longer, he found and rendered a 29th verse, a 30th. They welled up from him as effortlessly as spring water bubbles through moss. If every dream was a diamond and every secret wish was a pearl, I'd have the necklace for a queen to wind around my girl. But I've no gold to give her, no trinket hard and real, but only music from my heart to tell her how I feel. "That's it!" cried Devil Tom, forgetting his torment. "There's balladin'! It's what I've been waiting for." Overjoyed because the ballad maker's gift had returned to him, the boy sang a 31st verse, a 32nd. "I can hear 100 in my head," he shouted. Tom's hand groped out and stayed the quill. "There's no need to. Save some. You've plumb eased the pain." "I'm glad, Uncle Tom. Give over that dulcimer where I can touch it." Lee passed it to him. The old fingers ranged it gagingly. "It's the gourd thing you fotched here first day." "Yes, Uncle Tom." It's been saved and rubbed and cherished and hid away. Who did this for a dried up old squash rind? Travis did it, Uncle Tom. His eyes had been on her the whole time of his singing. He waited now for hers to lift to his. They did, finally. Hers were defiant, but presently they wavered. Travis, come here, the old man spoke. She rose and approached, a little brave, a good bit frightened. Travis, did you hear his musicking? Yes, grandfather. He drug that up out of a gourd. He made this here vegetable that's been fitten by nature only for pies and sass to sing sweeter than the dulcimer I made from the Grand Rock maple. Do you know the how and the why of this all? Yes, grandfather, I think I do. Give me your hand, Travis. Lee, give me yours. Lee's hand met her warm one in the Devil Tom's claw. After moments, the old one's arm dropped. His fingers found the jug, slid down it, and came to rest on the floor. He's dozed off, mentioned the girl. Let's go outside, whispered Lee, and let him have his nap. They moved under the chestnut oaks and the shag barks and pushed through the dense laurel to the foot of the song maple, whose autumn-stripped branches, solid and timeless, latticed the sun up. Beside the stacks of sugar-fragrant lumber, he folded both her hands against his chest. I'm sorry we're always a-fightin'. I'm not. It was good fightin'. We won't knuckle and whoop knee-bone each other ever again, will we? No, not ever. Sure we will, said Travis cheerfully. Lots.